Good morning. Good morning, Furby Stitch. You're on right away this morning. Always fun when there's somebody there already. All right, so today I think we're gonna make a Roblox character. I hope that'll be fun for you. Either that or I could go off on a goblin. I'm not sure. I'm working on a new pattern for a troll right now, so I'm always torn on what to make. So, oh, it looks like we're taking an ad break already. Oh, you're gonna take up a spot right there, huh? All right, our ad is finally over. Sorry about that. I always hate it when an ad hits right at the beginning. All right, so I think we'll dive right in. Unless you have a strong opinion about something you'd like me to make, I think I'll work on the Roblox character. But again, I could go any direction at this point. Let's see, what color yarn do I need to start with? So I thought I'd make it a really big plush one too, which could be fun. Okay, pattern, where'd you go? Too many windows. Plus, I changed around the order of the pattern when I pushed it out yesterday, so it probably is a good idea if it still makes sense. And with my ADHD, I don't get to make sense of it unless I actually do it live for some reason. So what are you working on right now? So let's switch to our overhead camera, and I'm going to do this a close-up overhead instead of the 3 cameras I usually use, because I definitely want to release it as a video, as a tutorial video. So I think that'll make it a little easier to edit. Because I say edit loosely because I don't really edit my videos yet. I'm just not that good at it. I'm trying to decide which program is the most user-friendly. So far I've done stop motion videos using Canva. So you can tell that's, you know, probably not ideal. It maxes out at 300 frames. So, and I can edit down videos there, but it's not perfect either. So, all right. Well, on that, let's switch to our overhead camera, and you can see the cat's butt because she's mad. I put yarn in her spot. She's staring at her spot. So, is that better? There. There, you can have your spot back. All right. All right. So overhead. Nope, wrong one. Just overhead. And cat butt. All right. And our music today is by Amperi. They do a lot of My Little Pony fandom music, as well as they've composed music for their D&D campaigns, which this is for their D&D. And I truly love it for background music because it doesn't have too much, it doesn't have too many words that I can't talk over it. It doesn't make me feel like I'm competing with it. All right, so if you want to follow along with this pattern, it is on my Patreon. I guess I could put that too, huh? Did that work? That did not work. You'd think I'd get this stuff figured out at some point. All right, so that should be the link to my Patreon. This pattern is free on there. I just really, it was only to my paid patrons last year, and so I just re-released it last night. So it should be up there for free now. All right, so we are gonna start with a magic ring. If you don't know how to do magic rings, there's lots of videos out there. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to teach it because I do it differently than most people teach it. So I like to do my magic ring by draping my yarn over my hand, wrapping my yarn in an X, and then I just tuck the yarn back out of the way again. Then you go under the first part of the X at the top and you grab the second one and pull it through. And then you have to do another chain, and this is where for me it's easier to go ahead and take it off my hand and hold my yarn like I like to hold it, and then I'll do my chain. But there are other ways to do it. Most people do their X, but then they do it on top of their hand like this, because then I guess they could see where their tail is, and I guess it is easier to do the chain up there. But, well, okay, now I made a mess. Okay, hold on. That's why I have tippy cups. And yet I still spill. Fortunately, yarn is absorbent. Okay. Well, let's try that again. I just needed to clean my desk anyways, right? It's fine, Quinn. It's just a mess. Okay. All right, so we'll start from scratch again. All right, so take our yarn, make an X, and then on top of my hand I will go under and grab this yarn, and then with our working yarn we make a chain, and there is our magic ring. So basically we're going to work over the tail and the side of the this side of the loop. So you want to work on the side that's got the double strands, and we're going to do 6 single crochets. So with plush yarn, it breaks easy when you pull the magic ring, so I do yarn over stitches for this part, and I make them not too tight. So 6 single crochets, and then when I go to pull it to tighten the ring, I pull in the direction of the ring. So I don't pull it this way, I pull it so that it's got the least resistance when I pull it through the magic ring. And don't over tighten it because it will break. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I always count backwards to see where my starting stitch is because this first part's sometimes a little, it's easy for it to be confused. So, all right, and then, oh, we're just going to slip stitch in just the back loop only here. Because we are going to start transitioning up into the next row. Oh, no, I lied. That's the next row we slip stitch into the back loop. All right, so we go. So we're going to work 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So 1, 2, and on the second one I like to tie off my magic ring halfway through a stitch so the stitches don't get too tight. And I do yarn unders for most of these. That's what gives it the iconic texture on the outside of a plushie. I probably should grab my example of this one too. You guys saw the example on the starting screen though if you were here at the beginning. So I yarn under, and then I yarn over for the second half because it doesn't hurt anything for the second half. But it makes the stitches just a little tighter and a little shorter that make it, and it gives it a different texture. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hey, I can count today. All right, so then we're going to slip stitch in the back loop of our starting stitch for that row. So that's the bottom of our little stumpy arm. I know it's hard to see with the, I'm going to try to change it so it's easier to see, not quite as glaring. I don't know. Let's see if we just change the quality of the color. I don't know. They're all pretty bright. Okay, so that's the bottom of our arm. So this row we're going to work in the back loop only, and we're just going to single crochet in each stitch around. So one in the one we just did. So working in the back loop allows us to make a sharp edge at the bottom of the arm. I don't like sewing pieces together, and the easiest way to get a square is by sewing them together. So this is my way of making square shapes, making square shapes out of round holes. So it's going to definitely curl all the way up because we're putting 1 stitch in each. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep, I went 1 too many. All right, so when we get back around, we are going to slip stitch in both loops and then chain 1. And so what that did by working in the back loop is it gives us more of a 90-degree angle. You can kind of see it just turns a little easier when you have that edge. All right, so this next stitch we're going to do another round to square conversion. So in both the loops we're going to we're going to do a stitch called a front post double crochet. So in this next stitch, instead of going in the V at the top, we're going to go around the post of this single crochet. So see, we're going around the post, not in the top of the V, not up here, but in the side of the stitch. And this is the only row that's a little tricky, because since you work in that stitch, it's easy to accidentally increase. So then we're going to single crochet into, and the post we're going to go around here isn't this one, because we just worked in the top of that stitch, so it's this next one. So we go around the post of this next one. And again, with the plush yarn, it's not as easy to see, but I really wanted a plushie of this to take to Rose City Comic Con next week. So then we go in the next two with just single crochets, and then a front post double crochet. Again, not in this one we just went into, but around the post of the next one. And if we don't do it right, we'll know at the end of this row because we'll have too many stitches. 1, 2, and around this post. But if it works right, we have a square. And 2 more. And then we slip stitch in the top of the double crochet. So this one we do tend to slip stitch at the end of each row for the most part, and chain 1. I didn't say to chain 1 on this one, so it doesn't really matter because we're doing double crochets down into the row below. But now you can see how it's already taking on a square shape. You can see how the corners start to shape up. And then if you really want, if you want it to be really square and blocky, you can actually put cardboard in it. Let me see if I can find my other plush one I made. I have got the clumsies today. All right, so this was my original one. So you can see how it gets very blocky and square. So this one had 3 across instead of 2, so it was just a little bigger. But ours will be even bigger than this today. But I put little squares of cardboard in the end just to hold it really square. But on the next one I did, it wasn't really that necessary, so I don't think that's a necessary step. If you do decide to do that, though, you could also use needlepoint plastic if you want something that's rigid but not gonna disintegrate. All right, so for the next 6 or 7 rows, we are gonna do the same pattern all the way around. So we're gonna front post into the double crochets, which is easy to find now because they stick out. So you do a front post double crochet in the front post, and then 2 single crochets in between, and then a front post, and then 2 single crochets in between. So this works up super fast because it's not really, there's not a lot of counting or anything to it other than just counting the rows when you're done, because you're just putting these front posts in each of the front posts and the single crochet in each of the single crochet. And I will try and stay centered on the screen. I've got it zoomed a little more now, so I'm getting used to the new camera. And we get back around, we slip stitch. And you can see it definitely getting square. Oh wait, did I have one more? Sorry, I slip stitched too soon. I think 1, 2. No, that was the right spot. So slip stitch and chain 1 and front post. I could put a stitch marker or something on this at this first stitch, which might help me keep track when it's all blurry because it's all yellow and fuzzy. Oh, this song makes me want to crochet a lot faster. Some of the battle songs make me want to crochet faster. So I do love how square it gets without really any effort. When we do the legs, they will be made the same way, but in green, I think. I think they're green. We might be there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So now we are going to add some stuffing. So when I stuff these, I like making sure the stuffing is kind of fluffed out, not too compact. And when I put it in, I push from the middle and then pull it to the outsides. Even on narrow things like this, it makes a difference on whether it ends up lumpy or not. So I kind of make a tunnel in the middle as I stuff it. And you don't want to overstuff this one or it makes it round instead of square. But you want it stuffed firm enough that it's going to hold its shape. So I think that's stuffed pretty firm. It's going to hold its shape, but nice and square. But look how square that is. Isn't that cool? Okay, so now we're going to decrease. Oh, I see what I did wrong there. I did not put my abbreviation. I moved the arms. I was making them at the end, but I want to make them where I can crochet them on. So anyway. anyways, let me just scroll down and see what I did to my pattern. Corner. Okay. Basically, I'm doing a, let's see. Basically, I'm decreasing across the corners, but I'm skipping the front post. So I'm doing an invisible decrease from here to the one on the other side of the corner. And actually, I'm not even doing an invisible decrease. It's a regular decrease. So pull up a stitch from here, skip the corner one, and pull up one from here. Because what that does is it makes it really flat really fast, but it leaves that corner nice and crisp. And then we single crochet in the middle. And then we do... Oh wait, no we don't. We do another decrease right here. Pull one up here, skip the corner, pull one up here, and finish them off. So this one, and skip one, and do that one, and then go. And since this is plush yarn, I can just break it. All right, so there's our first arm. All we need to do is sew shut the little bit on the top. And I will have to make that adjustment in my pattern. I should test these before I push a pattern out, but I got impatient last night because I was printing up business cards to give out at Rose City Comic-Con that have the free patterns on them. And now you can see that just really disappears onto the top because we decreased, but we left our corners nice and crisp. Trick with plush yarn is not to pull too hard, even if I made my knot too tight. There we go. And then we'll just go through and out the side. I should have used my longer needle. With plush, I get a little lost because they don't want to reach all the way through. And I pull it till it makes a little dent, and then I will find my scissors. I blame the cat for stealing them, right? Ah, there they are. They just got buried. All right, I'll pull it a little bit so that way when I trim the yarn, then it pulls that end back in. All right, so there's our arm. Nice and square. Rectangle, actually. All right, so then we'll make another one just like it, and then we'll start on our feet. All right, so again, we start with our magic ring. Under, over, and then chain one. And we're going to single crochet 6. Increase around 6 times. slip stitch in the back loop, and then chain 1, and we'll start, oh yeah, and then we single crochet 1 in each back loop only. Slip stitch and chain 1, and that's the little bottom of our circle, and then we'll convert it into a square by front post double crochet around that next single crochet. Then we don't single crochet in, oh, then we single crochet in that one and that one. When we do our post, we don't go on this one though, because that's the one we just did that stitch, so we go over to this next one. Work our double crochet around the post, then single, single, and our double post, single, single, double around the post, single, single, and slip stitch. And now we're a square. So front post in a front post, single crochet in a single crochet twice, and then back to our post. And again, we just repeat that for quite a few rows. I like mixing the single crochets with the double crochet posts, because that makes the double crochet stand out a little bit more, because they get scrunched, which makes them poke out and give it more of an angle. We could do single crochet front post as well, or half double crochet, but I like the look of this one better in this case. cat is snoring. And we're almost done with this one, and then we'll start on the legs. The only difference with the legs is that we make them a little bit bigger. I think. Well, maybe not. One more row, and then we decrease. So hopefully you find this technique really useful for other square things. I'm sure this would work on Minecraft, Roblox, any number of characters. I made a version of this that had 3 stitches between the corner posts as well, and it turned out a little sillier. So I don't know, I have mixed feelings on which one I like better. So all right, so then this is where I think there's something wrong with my pattern, because I guess I could do it. No, because that's right there. So I'm just going to single crochet 1 and then do my decrease, skipping the corner. Oh, you know what else I just realized? We probably should have done that in the back loop. Yep, I did not say that. And I need to stuff it. But yeah, this top row we should have done in the back loop only to make it more square across there. That's what happens when I don't do a pattern for a year, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I left something out. I wish I could test my own patterns, but unless I do it on stream, it really doesn't go well. I just miss things. Okay, back to our decreases. I'm going to do this one the same just so they're consistent, but normally you would do this in the back loop only of these stitches so that it gave us a nice little ridge around the outside. And when I stitch these shut, I just use the front loop because that makes it a little tighter of a, makes it lay flatter because it doesn't have as much bulk in each stitch that I'm decreasing, or that I'm stitching in. But again, with plush yarn, don't pull it too hard. That's what causes regrets. Two arms. Okay, so now we'll start with pants, which are green. And I'm going to adjust my pattern just a little bit to have my instruction before. I like to tell myself that I will go back and fix it later, but if I don't fix my pattern when I find the issue, I will just forget. Okay. All right. So now we have our green. So we're going to do a magic ring with green. So we drape our tail over. We wrap an X around our hand. Then we go undo the first part, grab the second part, and then we do a chain using our tail. Okay. Once you get the chain in there, it's not going to fall apart. So you end up with your working tail, your ring, and then your short tail. And the short tail should be on the side of the ring that you're putting all your stitches. So we're going to make sure that I'm doing this right. Yep, we are doing it the same as the arms. So 6 single crochets. And honestly, with the plush yarn, I usually start with an 8 in the middle. That's why these kind of are a little more pokey at the end instead of being more flat. So I might make a new version of this that's for plush. It just would involve a few other adjustments as well. So we'll tighten our magic ring but without breaking our yarn. Increase around. All right, I'm going to slip stitch in the back loop of this next stitch, and single crochet, chain one, and then single crochet around in the back loops. We'll see. I have a knot right there. So this pattern I'm making with Bernat Blanket, and this is a 6.5 millimeter hook, although I think it said to use a 9, an 8 or a 9. When I'm doing plushies, I always size down to make sure that the holes don't show. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I always want to do one extra of that row. I don't know why. Mainly because it's plush. It's a little harder to see. So we'll slip stitch. There's our little circle. It's a little flat on the bottom because of our back loop only stitches. So we chain one, and then we do front post, which is around the, not this, oh yeah, so around the post of this single crochet, not the top. And then we do 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches, and then a post, which is not this one but this one here, front post double crochet. Maybe it's a little easier to see in the green, maybe it's harder. Probably should have switched to my pink background for this. Did I skip one? No, I didn't. There it is. Something's a little off there. Just looking wrong there for some reason. I wonder if I missed an increase somewhere. I don't think so though. Okay, something's wrong on this row. And sometimes when things look weird, it's just easier to start that row over. Okay, so that was my last decrease. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay. So slip stitch, chain one, and then So there's our 12 single crochets on row 3. Chain 1. I'm going to do a front post stitch here. Then 2 single crochets. And a front post. This first row is really the only one that, the first row of this front post stitches is really only the one that matters, because after that it's easy to find where the front posts go, but it's easy to get this one off by a stitch or so. But if you've never done a front post double crochet before, front post or back post, they can be really helpful for defining your stitches in garments as well as plushies. All right, that one feels a lot better. And a good sanity check to make sure your square is square. You know, that your corners end up on the corners. So from here we just chain 1 and we do our front post. In the front post, and the single crochets and the single crochets. And I think we do the same number of rows here, except we don't do the last row that decreases, because we're gonna, since this is a very low sew project, the only thing you really sew on are the arms, and even that I might attach this time, make it no sew. Basically make the legs, and when we get to the second one we'll just attach the 2 legs then and just keep building the body off of it. Is the audio working? I hope it's working. Oh, good. Yeah, I wasn't talking. It should just have music on. Do you hear the music at least? Oh, and Gwen, Hack Shack sent you treats. She's asleep right now. I hate to wake the sleeping baby. Weird. I wonder if it's got some noise canceling on again. I've accidentally turned that on before, so. Because the music's plenty loud. Do you hear it when I'm talking? Oops, I minimized my screen too much now. I can't see where my thing is. My interface updated for OBS, and it's really annoying now because I can't always size things the way I want them. All right, so this is our last row of this leg. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. The only thing is I think I should have switched the background to be pink for this since I'm doing greens and blues. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so at row 10, so we'll fasten this off and make another one just like it. And then the next one we finish it, we will just keep going. I guess if the music's not coming across, it makes it a lot easier to voice over it later, or not to have to worry about. So again, I like to stuff these firmly, but not overstuff that it changes the shape. So 2 arms and a leg. I'm gonna pick up the things I dropped on the floor last time and find my yarn again. All right, back to the green yarn again. All right. Bump the master volume. I will do that. Actually, it's all the way up. Let's see if I can get the audio mixer where I can see it all again. Yeah, it is completely up. Maybe I just need to talk louder. I'm not seeing anywhere I can change that right now. I'm sure there's a spot. Well, we will figure that out another time. All right, so, oh, there it is. All right, so we're doing our last leg. We're on our last leg. Haha. All right, so we're gonna make a magic circle, wrapping our yarn in an X around our hand, going under the first, grabbing the second, oops, under the first, grabbing the second, and then grabbing our yarn to make a chain. When we take it off our hand, we have a loop with the second tail, and so we'll put our 6 single crochets worked around that tail and through the ring. All right, so there's 6 single crochets through the ring, and now when we pull this, it will tighten the circle, and there we go. So we're going to put 2 single crochets in each of these. So we'll go from 6 to 12. Usually halfway through the second one, I'll tie off my magic circle. I find it's easier to tie off if I'm halfway through a stitch. I was trying to see if I could find on the camera itself if there's a volume. I'm not seeing it here. Oh well. Figured during ad break I could find that. Ban a chatter that shouldn't be there. All right. Yeah, there's got to be some audio settings on my new camera that I'm missing. All right. Now I lost count. Do I do 1 there or 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, so 1 more. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yay! So a slip stitch in just the back loop. Then we're gonna single crochet in chain 1 and then single crochet in the back loop of each of these stitches. Slip stitch in our starting one, and that gives us our little flat bottom for our leg. And you can use this on circle things too, not just on square objects, just doing that back loop only technique. What gives the squareness are these front post stitches where we work around the front post of some of these single crochets to give it the corner bump out. All right, so then we do 1, 2 single crochets and then a front post double crochet. 1, 2 single crochets and a front post double crochet. Alright, so now it's square. So now we'll do a front post double crochet in each front post double crochet and a single crochet in each single crochet for the next 6 or 7 rows. So chain 1, front post, single, single, front post, single, single. And so if you like this pattern, it's definitely listed on my Patreon. So I meant to pin the post where I link to my Patreon. There it is. So there's the pin if you want to grab the pattern yourself and play along. Okay, a few more rows on this leg, and then we can move on to the body. This pattern does work up pretty quickly once you get the hang of it. It's a little, the front post stitches are just a little bit complex. Like they're a more advanced stitch than just the basic stitches, but I don't feel it's really hard to learn. It's just takes a little bit of getting used to. Going around the post instead of the top of the stitches. I do recommend trying it with just regular yarn, not plush yarn to begin with. It'll help you get the feel for it when you can actually see where you're going. But you can kind of feel it once you get better at it, though. Uh-oh, I somehow lost my beginning of my row. I started working in the round for some reason. When did I do that? A while ago, apparently. Oh, there it was. I should mark the beginnings of my rows. That would make a little more sense. You can work this in the round. It just twists it just a little bit. So I like to I work it more as rows, where I have a stopping place of each row and then I chain one. Alright, this is our last row of the leg. And then we'll move on to the body. We will keep doing these corner posts though throughout the body because it will give it that nice square look. Alright, so now I need to pull my pattern back up. Where did I leave it? There we go. Alright. So we can fasten this off or we can just keep going. So I don't like to sew things together, so I am just going to crochet these together. And actually, I think we switched to blue here anyways. So let's just go ahead and slip stitch these two together. We'll stuff this leg. And we'll just slip stitch them together before we switch colors. Hi, Quinn. Okay, I'll give you your treats now that you're awake. Now that you're going to sit in the middle of the stream. Hackshag sent you treats. Yeah, while you were sleeping. put the others in her ball pit. She can work for them. They're over in the pit. Because then she'll clear off my workspace. So when I slip stitch these together, all I do is I find the two sides that I like the best to be the front. And then I'm just going to take this working yarn that I just had and slip stitch both of these together right through the middle. Just 3 stitches, or you can sew them together. It doesn't really matter. I just like to not sew things together. So I just did 3 slip stitches in the middle. You don't need a long tail there. All right, and we fasten that off. Tuck our end out of the way. And now we have our legs. And eventually we'll have our arms. So now we're switching to the blue. And so this, again, this is all Bernat Blanket. I don't remember exactly what the colors are, but it's a blue, a green, and a yellow. Now I just gotta find the end of my yarn. I will try and find the actual colors and put them in the comments. All right, so then here's our blue. And so on the back, I like to usually like to have my end of rows on the back. So I'm going to flip it over to the back, which this is fine. It's just there was just a little wonky bit on the leg there, and it looked better on the other side. So I'm going to attach my blue yarn with a slip stitch on the right back of the body, right in that stitch. All right, then we're going to single crochet in that same stitch and the next 2 stitches. That should take us to the corner of the first leg. I don't know why I told myself to do a chain 1 there. Oh, I know why. Then we single crochet in the, I actually like to do these 2 front posts together. I didn't write that in the pattern. I think I'm going to clarify that. So when I do my front post there, I have 1 front post because of that. And then the next 2 stitches. Oh no, I didn't do a front post there. Sorry, I lied. All right. Then we do a front post on the corners. We want to keep those going as corners. And 2 single crochets at the edge. Hi, Quinn. And the front post. This is how I find out whether I wrote my patterns well, when I'm like, what was I thinking? And sometimes I don't know what I was thinking. So now we're going to single crochet in 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't like those chains there. I don't know why I put them there. I'm taking them out of the pattern. because I don't want to risk there being a hole there. All right, so corners still get their posts. And 6 across the front. Another post. And our post. I think that's how I did it. And so that should be 20 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I love it when stitches add up. So we definitely a couple of changes I'm going to make here on the pattern, but mainly instead of the single crochet, it basically was just to add an extra stitch. I think with the smaller yarn it might have made more sense, but with the bulky yarn it doesn't. We're going to do a little different. So 1, 2, 3, and then an increase, which adds another stitch there. And then 1, 2. Because that accomplishes the same thing without the chance of a hole forming. Plus, I wrote this a year ago. My skills have changed since then, and at least in pattern writing. Some things I do differently. We're all tangled again. Not sure how I got this twisted, but here we are. All right, untwisted. May have to use this camera on a zoomed out mode if we get any bigger. I like that this new camera zooms in a little bit more. All right, so let's finish this row. 1, 2, post, and slip stitch. All right, so that's our front, and that's our back. You definitely see how the shapes keep shaping. All right, so now I need to go to the next page of my pattern. So for the next 6 rows, I'm going to use a stitch marker on this because I am not in a counting mood today. So I like to put a stitch marker when I'm doing plain rows without having to count the rows, because I could count up the blues and probably get it right, but that's okay. So I'll know where this row started, and I can just count up to row 8. All right. Especially if you did this in a different color, you may not have the color breaks at the same point. Did I actually tell myself? I did switch to blue. Okay. So in my prototype of this with the smaller yarn, I used more of a cyan yarn than the royal blue like I'm using here. So you might be able to find colors that match what you want better, and you may be able to do your OC anyways. So now we just do 7 single crochets and our corner post, and then 2 and our corner post, and then 7 across the front. It's like it's a rectangle or something. I didn't start with slip stitch, so I was just tying off my tail there. And we just keep repeating until we get bored with this stitch. And so we were doing this similar for Minecraft. We would do a square head as well instead of a circle one. So I might have to make a Minecraft template as well. You guys can let me know what you want me to make patterns of, because that's what I do. Yeah, I agree. The stitches are really, really clear. Oh, thanks for the bits. Oh, and thanks for acknowledging Catzilla. She's asleep again. She appreciated the treats. I'm really surprised the stitches are as clear on camera, because they're not even that clear to me because it's the plush yarn, but it's actually coming across better on camera than it is for my eyes. Might be the angle too. almost done with the body, and then we'll attach the arms and go on to the head, and then we'll be done. For a minute there, I thought I forgot how to count. When I work it too tight, it tends to twist a little bit, so. Not a lot, but a little bit. I might try and figure that out at some point. See if there's some modifications I can do for that. All right, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more row, and then we do our shoulders. That's where I'm not sure if I'm going to attach the arms or sew them on later. We'll see when we get there. I lost a stitch there. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I lost one on the row before that. How dare. So when you're pulling out plush yarn, the main trick is to pull in the direction it's going into, not up or out. That's what causes it to shred more. now we're on our last row. Alright, so this is the end of row 8 of the blue. So we're going to slip stitch just like usual. And we'll chain 1. So now what we want to do is single crochet in 6. So we stop 1 short of the end. And then we're going to do our corners just like before, except we're going to do it the back loop like I was supposed to. So in the back loop only, we pull up 1 loop here, skip the corner, and pull up 1 loop here. And now you see how sharp it leaves that corner. The only thing is this is where I would be attaching the arms. So I think I am going to sew the arms on instead of attaching them this way. Now we do another corner, pull a loop up from the back loop, skip the corner, and a back loop there. Oh, actually, we should have done this whole row in back loop. Okay, sorry. I need to fix that too. Alright, so we'll slip stitch into the back loop from the previous row, because this will give us a nice little sharp edge where the body meets. So then we do our chain 1, and then our 6. 1, 2, 3. And back loop stitches don't always show real well on plush, but they still offer the advantage of they create more of a 90-degree angle when it turns. Alright, so then back loop only, we pull up a loop, skip 1, pull up a loop. Now it should be on either side of that corner. And now see how nice that lays down. Alright, then we do another back loop corner. Then we work in the back loop only across the front for 5. And then another corner. Pull up a back loop, skip the corner, pull up a back loop. And then 1 more corner, but we don't really do the corner because we already worked the first stitch, so I'm just gonna and maybe a do, and then I just slip stitch in the next stitch. Yeah, I don't know, we'll figure it out. All right, so now we're going to switch to yellow yarn. So when I switch yarn colors, what I like to do, I'm not going to slip stitch that one, is I actually make my loop a little bigger. This one we're doing separate rows, so it's probably not as big. Actually, it won't matter on this one. We're just going to switch to yellow for, oh, you know what? I lied. I'm using Chenille Premier Basic Chenille Brights for the yellow because I was out of Bernat Blanket yellow. It's pretty much a similar weight yarn. It might be just a tiny bit different, but but it really does work up about the same. All right, so now before I do this slip stitch here, I'm going to slip stitch it with the yellow, so that way the loop that I carry up to the next row has, hi Quinn, hello Catzilla. I swear she doesn't like being petted unless I'm on stream. But she has interrupted stream 15 times this month. Can you move so I can see my screen? I guess not. I guess I just gotta wing it. All right, so hopefully you guys can see past the cat. So I did my slip stitch with the yellow. I'm going to go ahead and chain one. And now working in the back loop only, which means I should have slip stitched into the back loop. All right. So then I'm just going to single crochet in each of the back loops of this row. And it should be 16. And it is 16 stitches, yay. And I didn't have to do that in the back loop, but I find that doing it in the back loop gives it just a little bit more flexibility for the neck to bend in or out. And I'm going to go ahead and tie off the yellow I joined. All right, I'm going to take out this stitch marker, we'll move it up later. All right, so then the next row we're gonna go up to 24 stitches. So we're gonna single crochet in the first one. Probably should have done that first stitch before I tied it off because now it's a little snug. And I'm gonna go back to working in the round here because it's not gonna make a difference. When we did the double crochets, it made sense to do a chain one because the double crochets are just a little taller and it made it look better. So we're going to single crochet and then increase all the way around. Normally I do an increase in every row for my heads, but for this one I don't want it to be quite so flared. Count to make sure I have the right number of stitches because sometimes I lose some. Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Okay. I'm also going to put my stitch marker in just so I don't forget where my beginning is because it does blend really good if you do a good seamless color change. All right, so we're gonna do 8 rows of just 24, so we're just working straight from a bunch of rows, and that's the head, and then we'll little decrease for the top of the head and sew the face and arms on, and we're done. So I don't mind sewing things on when it's obvious where they go, but if it's something that the angle or the positioning really affects the overall look of the plushie, I prefer to crochet things in place, just because then I don't have to worry about that. I probably should stuff the body a little bit too. I don't remember if I told myself to do that in the pattern. I just realized why the music probably isn't being heard, and that's probably that I haven't set the noise canceling on this microphone, because I haven't used this. I don't usually use this camera for my audio. I had a different camera, but I'm changing things up because I got a little OBS meet for my overhead camera, and I'm hoping it'll work better with my OBS bot, the follow me around camera. And we'll see how that works. And let me know if you guys would prefer to see me, my head on camera as well while I crochet, and if you want to see the cats. She's just sleeping right now anyway, so she's not very much fun. But we do have the cat cam we usually do, but on some of these, when I do the crochet along for a pattern that I haven't crocheted on stream before, I really want to have as much of the screen as possible for everybody to see. So we'll see how that goes. And if you get to a gap like this where you have a knot, I like to make sure the knot's really strong. Usually that's not how I would join my threads. There's a way to join plush yarn, but if I can do this where that falls on the inside, I don't worry about it too much. Yeah, because you won't see that. If I was doing a blanket, it would be different. Okay, arm, you stay out of the way. I'm going to add some stuffing here too, because it's a little harder to control it as much once the head's taller. It's hard to get ahead, you know. Yes, I know. I am full of bad puns. So I like to stick it down in the middle, and then I will pull it to the sides. So all the stuffing I'm putting is in a hole in the middle, and then I push it to the outsides, because that way it tends to give me the less lumpy of a plushie. I also want to make sure it's down in the legs good, so there's not a gap of stuffing where if I didn't stuff the legs enough. I really like taking a rubber handled crochet hook, or a pencil is actually my favorite, because the rubber grips the stuffing, but it comes out clean. It doesn't try to pull the stuffing back out like a rubber handled hook does. And this also, by putting it in the middle and then pushing it to the outside, stuffs these corners really good so that they stay nice and square. That's laying flatter too. It still has a little bit of a twist to it, but that's where we are so far. All right, so back to crocheting. And I might just need to hook up my other microphone that'll pick up the music and my vocals better. Because I think the other thing is this OBS bot is set on tracking mode, so it tracks me. I wonder if I turned off tracking if it would pick up all the audio instead of just me. Or not, or it's just freaking out because, you know, as cameras do. Okay. Well, we'll see if that's any better. You guys can let me know if you hear music at any point. Because the music's plenty loud on my side, so it's funny that it's filtering all of that out. Tries to be too smart. All right. That's 12, 13, 14, 15. So 5 more rows. And then we'll need to decide if we're going to sew the face on or use safety eyes. I'm leaning towards sewing it on because for this one it has like slits for eyes, which I actually kind of like better. It matches more what a noob looks like. So if you're following along and would like this pattern, I'm going to make a few updates and repost it. I'll update it tonight. Because I found a few things that I think I would do differently if it was me today rather than the person a year ago who wrote this. I also need to check and see if this automatically is streaming to YouTube at the same time. It didn't look like it was, but I'm working on getting that set up, so. This yarn has a lot of knots in it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. If there's any other patterns you want to see live streamed or new patterns you want me to design, I am happy to do that. Feel free to reach out on any of my socials, especially Patreon. That's really where I like to keep most of my primary copies of everything. Like that's where I release everything from, just for simplicity. I point everything back to there. So that's where, if you want to reach me, that's probably the best place. It's the place I check the most for messages. Because honestly, that's where I get my yarn allowance from. So All right, I think this is the last row before we start our decreases, and then we'll be just about done. All right, so this row goes up to there. All right, so that's my last stitch of this row. All right, so you can see we have this nice long oblong head of a tube of a head, and it seems taller than it should be in proportion to the body, but once we curl it around the top, it gets shorter. So we're going to decrease this next row. We're going to go down to 16, so we're going to single crochet in one, and then we're going to do invisible decrease. So invisible decrease, you pick up the front loop of the next 2 stitches and then work through both of them at once. I like that method, especially for the tops of heads and things where you might not, where you could have gaps, and it's a really visible place. So this should take us from 24 down to 16. With plush yarn, I like working in 8s better than 6s. So like the legs were done with 6, 12, 6 and then 12. I do find plush yarn does better with 8s. So I might make a version that is based on 8. So it would be 8 and then 16 for the leg size. But this one will do for now. But I find that it causes less curling for the plush yarn. Just kind of makes more cones and curls than flat circles. So that should be 16. So you can see our head's already starting to shape a little different. So now I'm going to double check my counts too. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, yep, 20. All right, and so now we're gonna add our stuffing to the head. Same method. Putting it in the middle and then making a hole in the middle of the stuffing as I pull it to the sides. So see, I put new stuffing in the middle and then I pull it to the sides like this. It just helps shape it better and stretch the stitches in a more natural way than just putting lumps of stuffing in and hoping it doesn't look lumpy. And then once the hole in the middle isn't a hole anymore, like there's not really room to put more stuffing into the center, it fills it all out. That's how you kind of know you've got enough. But as long as I can pull it to the outside and it still leaves a kind of you can kind of see there's a hole still there that I don't really have to poke at to make it work, then I know there's still room for more. All right, that's pretty good. Oops, where'd my loop go? There it is. All right, now this row we are going to decrease every stitch around, and that should wrap up the head. So these are all invisible decreases where I pick up the front 2 loops and then just work the single crochet in both of them at once. Because what's cool about that is that back loop that we're not working falls down to fill in the gap. And it's a less bulky stitch, so it just seems to be a lot cleaner for finishing. right, I think that might be 8. Yep. All right, I think. Yep. All right, so now we fasten this off, and I'm gonna leave myself enough to sew it shut. Although when you're sewing stuff closed with plush yarn, you could always switch to a similar colored acrylic yarn. Where did my needle go? There it is. And it would be stronger because the yarn would disappear into the plush, so you wouldn't really see it. So when I sew my circles closed, this first one that's got my fasten off and the knot, I like to go through both loops of the next stitch because it pulls that inside, see, it kind of disappears. But every other stitch I pull just the front loop because that leaves less bulkiness, especially on the plush yarn, to close up the hole. And I kind of tug on this a little bit as I go. Normally with acrylic yarn I wouldn't bother, or cotton, because they don't break. But plush yarn breaks so much, or it breaks so easy. I like to take it easy on it. All right, and there's our hole closed up. You can't really even see where it was. So when I tie off my knot, I kind of follow where this yarn's going to go, and it wanted to go right there. So that's where I will put my knot. I just make a loop, and I wrap it around this twice. And I don't pull it too tight, but I pull it closer to the body so my knot will be right at the body. But plush yarn wants to get tangled, so I try not to make that too tight that I can't get back through the hole. So I wouldn't want to break the yarn now. And again, I just hold the knot while I pull it gently, tug on it. And you can kind of see there's a little more of a knot there now, but it's right at the body. So again, where that yarn is trying to fall, I just go in the body, into the head right there and out the other side and tug it a little bit so it makes a little dent while I trim it. I'm going to take my stitch marker out. But once I fluff it out, you can't see that knot on the top. Not really. You can kind of see a little shadow just because of the angle of the camera right now. All right, so there's our body. I don't remember which is the front or back now. I think this is my front. All right, so now I want to stitch the arms on, and normally I would leave enough yarn to do that, but I thought I was going to crochet them in place, so we'll add a little extra yarn to do that. So where we attach the arms is really easy because there's stitches there to attach it to. So what I like to do is figure out which end is the prettiest, or which side is the prettiest to put in the front. And you can see this line here of our front loop only stitches. We're just going to attach it between here and here. And if I'd done this right, there would be front loop only stitches left there too. And I'm going to start at the back because it's easier to hide a knot. Well, I'm going to go forward and backwards. So, and then I'm just going to pick up the first stitch on this side of the arm, and then front loop only of this next stitch. So see, they're kind of attached like that. And then the next loop on the arm. Normally I would wait till the end to pull it, but I'm pulling it a little bit each time on these. And honestly, these I might go back with an acrylic yarn or something stronger to reinforce it, because I think the arms are going to get some wear and tear. The main thing is just when you're at the front, you want that line to add up just perfect so that they sync up. So you can kind of see how our stitches are here. And when I pull them, and there, now you can't see them. So then on this one, I'm going to reinforce them by going back through them all one more time because this is plush yarn. And I just want it to be as strong as it can. And then at the back, I'm also going to make sure that that line is really lines up. And then I will tie this off. And when I tie it off, I'm going to try and get the knot part to end up kind of in the seam there, so nobody really sees it. And then I can just hide my yarn in the arm, the tail of the yarn. I can get it to fit out the other side. Because I find the stuffing, by going through the stuffing like this, it actually does a really good job of making sure those ends don't pop back out. All right, there's one arm. And I'm going to repeat for the other side. Let's find the prettiest side of the arm. They're all pretty good. Alright, so again, we'll start back here. Oops. Put on my short trash tail, not the actual one I was sewing with. Hi, Quinn. Again? You had a good nap and now you want more treats, huh? Alright, so at the front here, I definitely want to make sure I get right at that crispy corner. So we get the seam lining up just right there. You can kind of see I went through kind of the front post of each of those. And then I'll tug them gently. And then go back through and just reinforce it a little bit more, going through different spots. And at the back here, again, I want to make sure to get the corner piece right at the corner of this one. You see how this yarn sheds really easy. And again, I'm going to tie it off underneath the knot under the arm, so it really just kind of hides under there. Oh, Hack Shack's spoiling you today. You get more treats. Hey, yeah, you got some more treats. Nap, treat, repeat. Yep, cats do have it figured out. They're over in the pit. You do have to work for it a little bit. Too bad I can't, can't get her camera, get her working on camera. I do like having the close-ups on this though, instead of a smaller window. All right. So taking a lint roller to these is an important step when you're working with fuzzy yarn. Well, you see how it's shaping up now. And the face, the head always looks too big to me. Here, we'll turn it sideways so you can kind of see it all. But once we get the face on there, the proportions do work. But you could always adjust it if you want to see it a little differently. All right, so now I want to see, do I have some nice yarn? I think I'm going to use a little bit thinner plush yarn. So I have this Premier Parfait that it's a velvet yarn still, but it's a lot thinner. But I think that will look good on this. I always like to use yarn that's just a little bit thinner than what I'm working with on the main pattern when I do the eyes and mouth. We'll see how it looks. We may even want to go a little thinner. We'll see. So to do the eyes and mouth, I think I'm going to do the mouth probably there. Sometimes using skewers or marking pins are really helpful to lay this out. Actually, I did it across 2 stitches last time. Is that the center though? Maybe it's more 3 stitch. Okay, and then I need to mark where my eyes are going to go. I just find it easier to lay things out before I start putting them on the body. And then the eyes are 2 rows up from there and just 1 stitch each, 1 row each. Maybe if I do it this way, so it looks like an eyeball. Yeah, I kind of like that. All right, so then what I'm going to do is come in from the back. Actually, I'm going to switch to a bigger, longer needle. I actually bought these long needles that have just a loop on the end. I still have trouble keeping the yarn from falling out, but now I can come in from the back and have a little more control because it's longer. So I want to just come in on one side of the mouth. Yeah, see, the yarn likes to fall out, but it does go through the body a lot easier. And leave just enough tail to tie it off in the back. I'm going to come over here to the mouth and then come up. So I went across as wide as I wanted the mouth, and I'm going to come up the 1 row down in the middle. And we'll see how this looks. And then I go up through the loop that I just made. And when I pull it down, I'm going to go back in that same loop. And then I'm going to come up where one of these eyes is. I could do this in separate steps, but yeah, I think that yarn works. I don't think it's too thick, probably. Although that makes the mouth a little bit too much of a V. I think I am going to switch to a little bit less fuzzy yarn too, so it'll look more like a line and less like, let me go grab that. So I had this cotton acrylic yarn from Hirschner's called My Ami for amigurumis, and I do like that for getting more finished looks, so we'll use some of this for the mouth. I think that might give me quite a little more what I'm looking for. And I think I did the mouth a little different than usual too. Usually I just do 1 point at the bottom. I'm going to try this a little bit different though. So coming up, leaving a tail in the back, and going across to the other side. And then we're going to come up kind of not dead center, just kind of off to the side a little bit, so that when we go up in our yarn and come back down, I think I went down a different hole. Maybe I think I went in the same hole and then came up in the one next to it too. I think this is coming back to me now. Oops. Up there. Across there. And you can play around with doing the your sew on eyes and mouths and stuff. You can really get some interesting effects just from the way you do the stitching. So you can see that I did a line, and now I came up and picked up half of it, and then I'm going to pick up the other half and go down in this stitch. Because then when I pull it, it should give it more of a rounded, yeah. You see how that's more of the Roblox mouth, it's more rounded. Right, so then I think I will go ahead and come out the back. Because that puts some stuffing between the stitches. And what I do when I go to tie it off is I actually put my marking pin through the mouth so it doesn't get too tight. And so I'm going to go and tie this off. Just tight enough that that the yarn goes under the surface just a little bit, but it doesn't pull the mouth out of whack. So, because we want that to stay not too recessed in the plush. So that looks good. So then I'm just going to go back in that same hole and come up for one of the eyes. And the eyes are just a 1 row line. So I pull it up and I go back down and out the same hole in the back. And I'm not going to pull it too tight yet. Where'd my needle go? Nope, that one's lost forever. It's way under the desk. Let's try that again. We'll just use the next bigger one. All right, so go back in the same hole. I'm going to come up and do the other eye. You see this one's a lot thicker. And then go back down the next hole, 1 row up. And then we're going to come out that same hole in the back. Oh, lost the stitch, lost the yarn. When the yarn gets too short, it gets a little trickier to hold on to. These longer needles definitely make a big difference in being able to control it though. So did I just go through this? Never mind. I went through the same hole again. Not sure what I did. All right, let's try that again. And I could just go from this eye over to this other one, but if I do, I want to make sure to go under the stuffing so that you don't see a black piece of yarn going across here if the stitch is separated at all. All right, so I know where I'm going to go down on this one, so I'm going to go and pull the marking pins out, but I'm going to leave them through the yarn because I don't want the eye to get too... I don't want the yarn to get pulled too tight on the eyes. All right, so now you can see I have the marking pin in the eyes. So before I tie it off, I like to double check, make sure they're straight and everything looks good. And then I'm going to tie this again, but not too tight that it pulls the yarn, the eyes too tight, just so the yarn's under the surface. And then I'm going to just hide the tails inside the body. Just be careful not to cut the yarn of the body when you're trimming your yarn. All right, so now I'll loosen those up just a little bit and pull that out. And now you have your eyes. There, now they're stick out enough. We probably could have even made those 1 row lower now that I'm looking at my other plushie. Because if they were here, yeah. Anyways, he's done! Yay! We have created another monster. So thank you all for sticking with me. We only had to pull out a few things, but now you know you have ideas for how to make your own square edges on your plushies. Make your own Roblox, your own Minecraft. I probably should have said where to stitch the face too. I didn't say in my pattern what rows to do that on. So, all right. So on that note, we have our plushie. He's done-ish, and I will make some adjustments to the pattern, and feel free to download your own copy of the pattern. It's on my Patreon. I think you have to subscribe to my free tier to get it. Some people have found that too cumbersome. I do the best I can. but you don't have to pay for it. You just need to subscribe to my Patreon to get it. Hopefully that's not too big of an imposition, and let me know if you make them. I love hearing, and if subscribing to the Patreon is too much trouble, just message me. I'm happy to send you a copy. It's just the easiest way for me to track how many people enjoy it and which patterns they enjoy the most. So it really does help me. All right, well, you take care. I will see you next Sunday. I might return to Tuesday night streamings, but still playing that by ear. So next Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you have something you want to see, let me know. Otherwise, we might be making the troll, because that's my next pattern that's going to come out September 1st. And September 1st is my anniversary of my Patreon. It will be 1 year of releasing patterns all year long, free and paid Patreon patterns. And we're getting closer to having our Dungeons and Dragons inspired critter book finished. So let me know what you think, or if I'm missing anything for the book, and hopefully I will see you all again next week. Take care.